Stop calling it patience. Stop calling it kindness. What you're doing is begging through behavior. Begging doesn't weaken you slowly. It exposes you immediately. The second you reveal need, you forfeit leverage. The moment desperation shows in your actions, every advantage collapses. Machiavelli warned against emotional exposure over 5 centuries ago. He understood something most people still refuse to accept. Power isn't about force. It's about being unreadable. It's about controlling what others can predict. It's about making people constantly recalculate their position with you. And you're broadcasting your hand before the game begins. You're defending positions that need no defense. You're seeking validation from people who should be seeking yours. You're treating your time as infinite when scarcity is what creates value. That's not strategy. That's surrender wrapped in politeness. Here's the brutal truth. Every time you display need, you train someone that your standards are flexible. Every time you over-justify your decisions, you signal that your authority is questionable. Every time you allow someone to violate your terms without cost, you confirm that access to you has no real price. And once people internalize that lesson, they never forget it. This isn't about becoming heartless. This isn't about severing connections randomly. This is about understanding that emotional transparency in the wrong hands becomes a weapon. It's about recognizing that familiarity without consequences breeds contempt. It's about accepting that certain people only respect what they fear losing. Machiavelli's principles weren't designed for dictators. They were designed for anyone who refuses to be controlled through their own generosity. If you've ever felt exploited, dismissed after giving everything, or mentally exhausted by people who demand without contributing, then you already understand why these principles exist. This video will show you how to eliminate emotional exposure entirely, not by shutting down, but by operating with structural discipline. Not by cutting everyone off, but by making access to you a privilege that must be continuously earned. Not by talking less, but by requiring more through calculated silence. You're about to learn 10 Machiavellian strategies that will fundamentally alter how people approach you. And if you apply them consistently, you'll never plead for respect again. Now, I want you to drop this affirmation in the comments. I stop begging. Let's begin. Number 1. Recognize begging as strategic exposure. You need to grasp something fundamental. Begging isn't always verbal. Most of the time, it's operational. It's adjusting your schedule to accommodate someone who never adjusts theirs. It's accepting treatment from familiar people you'd reject from strangers. It's maintaining access for individuals who contribute nothing while consuming everything. That's begging. And the reason it destroys you isn't human cruelty. It's psychological mechanics. Human nature responds to scarcity, uncertainty, and cost. When you're perpetually available, endlessly accommodating, constantly understanding, you become predictable, and predictable equals powerless. Machiavelli grasped this deeply. He knew that the instant you need something from someone more than they need it from you, the dynamic inverts. Not just temporarily, permanently. Because need creates leverage, and leverage determines who controls the interaction. So identify where emotion overrides calculation in your life. Are you maintaining connections that drain your energy because you fear solitude? Are you tolerating boundary violations because you avoid conflict? Are you dispensing your resources, time, attention, effort, without requiring reciprocity? That's not generosity. That's strategic exposure. You're revealing your vulnerabilities before others have revealed theirs. You're showing what you value before confirming that the other person values you equivalently. When you beg, you eliminate the fear of losing you. And once that fear evaporates, respect exits with it. People don't respect unlimited access. They don't value what costs them nothing. They don't protect what they're certain won't disappear. You believe you're building loyalty through constant availability, but what you're actually constructing is entitlement. You're teaching people that your boundaries are negotiable, that your time is inexhaustible, that your attention is guaranteed regardless of their conduct. And once they internalize that lesson, they stop qualifying themselves for your presence. They stop investing effort. They stop considering their impact on you because they know you'll remain accessible anyway. Power collapses the moment you seek instead of position. Seeking is about requesting permission. Positioning is about creating a framework where people must earn the right to remain in your sphere. Seeking makes you the dependent variable. Positioning makes them the dependent variable. Stop seeking approval from those who should seek yours. Stop seeking validation that you matter. Stop seeking confirmation of your worth. Start positioning yourself as someone whose access carries inherent cost, maintenance requirements, and potential loss. Machiavelli once said, "Men are so simple and so subject to present necessities that he who seeks to deceive will always find someone who will allow himself to be deceived." Stop allowing self-deception through hope. Stop pretending that giving more will generate appreciation. It won't. It will generate expectations. And expectations without reciprocity define exploitation. Recognize begging as strategic suicide. The moment you do, you can terminate it. And the moment you terminate it, everything transforms. Now, I want you to drop this affirmation in the comments. I position, never seek. Number 2, cut familiar access before it breeds entitlement. Familiarity is where respect deteriorates. Think about how people approach strangers versus how they approach you. With strangers, they're measured, careful, considerate. They don't know the stranger's tolerance threshold, so they default to respect. But with you, they know precisely what you'll tolerate. They've tested your limits repeatedly, and every time you yielded, they documented the lesson. That's familiarity's function. It eliminates uncertainty, and without uncertainty, there's no incentive to maintain standards. People mistreat you not because they're fundamentally malicious, but because you've made mistreatment safe. You've provided repeated access without requiring sustained respect. You've readmitted them after violations. You've accepted apologies without witnessing behavioral reform. And now entitlement exists. Entitlement isn't constructed overnight. It's assembled through repeated patterns where someone receives access without maintaining standards. Every time you allow disrespect while maintaining proximity, you participate in your own devaluation. So cut the access. Not through announcements, not through explanations, not through declarations about your new boundaries. Just stop being available as you were. Stop responding with your previous speed. Stop clearing obstacles for them. Stop being the person who always facilitates. Remove comfort without confrontation. This is critical. Confrontation creates negotiation opportunities. It gives people chances to explain, to make promises they won't fulfill, to temporarily modify behavior until you relax again. Silence eliminates that opportunity. It creates a void they must fill with their own uncertainty about why conditions changed. And that uncertainty restores what was lost: unpredictability. Unpredictability about whether they still possess access. Unpredictability about whether they crossed an irreversible line. Unpredictability about whether their behavior now carries actual consequences. That unpredictability forces recalibration. Not your words, not your explanations, your absence. When you limit repeated access, you're not being vindictive, you're being tactical, you're communicating through action. Access to me isn't guaranteed. It requires continuous earning through how you conduct yourself. Most people won't comprehend this immediately. They'll reach out confused. They'll probe for explanations. They'll attempt to restore the previous dynamic, where they could behave however they wanted while retaining access. Don't explain. Don't justify. Don't provide the closure they haven't earned. Let your unavailability communicate everything. Here's what unfolds. Some people will elevate to meet the new standard. They'll examine their behavior. They'll improve their conduct because they recognize they might actually lose access. Those are the people worth maintaining, but most won't. Most will become frustrated that you're no longer performing your previous role. They'll accuse you of transformation. They'll claim you're different, and they'll be correct. You are different. You stopped participating in your own disrespect. Let them exit. Prevent entitlement by restoring uncertainty. Make your presence something that requires earning, not something guaranteed regardless of treatment. That's not cruelty. That's self-respect executed structurally. Number 3, identify the entitlement shift immediately. There's a specific moment in every dynamic where transformation occurs. It's subtle. Most people miss it entirely. But once you learn to identify it, you'll observe it everywhere. It's the moment gratitude vanishes. Someone requests assistance. You provide it. They express appreciation. That's standard. But then they request again and again. And somewhere in that repetition, the thank you disappears. The appreciation evaporates. What was once a request transforms into an expectation.